Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's Sonder Social. We have a lot of folks joining on this Sunday afternoon for us in the West Coast, probably Sunday evening for those of you in the East Coast. Thank you so much for joining. I am Malika. I will be leading you through your weekly setup social today. And for folks that are new, please shout yourselves out. Just say, I'm new. We want to give you a warm welcome to today's social. I do see a lot of familiar names, so welcome back to that are returning, and welcome Beth, Charity, Robin, amazing. Excited to have you here with all of us. I am joined by the fabulous Katie, who is dialing in all the way from Europe. So it is late for her, but she is such a champ and she loves to be here with us. So she will be helping answer any questions that may pop up throughout this hour. Keep in mind, these weekly setup socials go really fast. So it's okay if you don't finish. It's just we will pace it out and it'll be a very productive hour together. And the chat goes really fast as well, just because there's so many great ideas from everyone at Sonderfam. And just a reminder, make sure to set your toggle to everyone. Sometimes Zoom auto defaults it to host and panelist, which means only Katie and myself can see your chat. So make sure to set that toggle to everyone because that's how we communicate throughout this hour. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Okay. Oh yeah, and then also just a shout out, we are having a live demo with Silk and Sonder with the founder, and that will be on May 13th. And she'll kind of walk you through the coach product that we offer here at Silk and Sonder. So make sure if you are free or curious to check that out. And then all right, and by the way, that is a free session, so make sure to check that out. And then here are some community guidelines for you all. Just as a reminder to be kind and courteous to yourself and others, no promotions or spam, no hate speech or bullying. Any product or accessory questions or customer care inquiries can be sent to hello@silkensonder.com. And just remember, these Sonder socials are the way for us to all connect, and especially with these weekly setup socials, there's so many ways to repurpose these sections or tailor it to kind of fit your week. So this is kind of a really great way to get a sense of how you want to set it up for this week. And you don't always have to adapt the week prior. You can always choose a different method if it's not working for you or if you want to try something new. With that, let's talk about this month's theme of simplicity. I love this month's theme. I think it's really fitting for kind of like springtime. Typically, when I think of simplicity, I think of like paring things down or thinking about taking things off our plates a little bit and really just being intentional with how we spend our time, how we spend our resources, how we spend our energy, and really simplifying to a set amount of things and events and whatever on your calendar, just to keep it much more just easier for us. So I feel like it kind of goes hand in hand with like springtime and spring cleaning. So I really like this month's theme. I definitely am thinking about how I can live a little bit more of a simpler life. I feel like it's been pretty hectic. So making sure that we are kind of keeping that in mind for this month is a great way to set this month's intention. So what we'll do is we're going to dive in a little bit deeper with simplicity with the mind map. And for folks who are new to these weekly setup socials, just remember that we basically what we do for each month is we kind of set up these mind maps, and each week for each weekly setup social, we build it out. So we'll focus on a different question or area to reflect. That's all tailored towards this month's theme. So because we're starting off fresh, this is the first week of the month, we will start our simplicity mind maps together for the social. Then we'll move on to our rosebud thorn, and then we'll kind of dive into those weekly setup pages. Okay, so for our mind map, first you can find a blank page in your journal, or you can find a scratch paper, and you can kind of create sections for the simplicity mind map. And we're going to be looking at week 1, which is what physical possessions do you own that no longer serve a purpose or bring you joy? So think about kind of what those possessions are. Do we feel like we are holding on to things that just aren't really kind of there? They're just kind of there, but they aren't really serving anything for you. Think about what those possessions might be, what you're holding on to, and maybe plan to let go of. And then, oops, sorry. Let me just find, I need to go back. I wanted to show Katie's example here. She kind of took it a different direction, which I wanted to also open up to you all. And this is her mind map on the right, but she basically said, I think it may not have to do with physical possessions. It could also think about like how you're going to simplify your schedule, or think about what you pour your energy into and what you want to simplify. So you can kind of you can take this in a different direction if that's kind of what's calling to you. Um, but I would say for myself, I feel like I have a lot of things that I hold on to because of the memories, or maybe I'm holding on to just things that I probably should let go of. One example that I actually recently realized is I was holding on to some of my ex's things that I realized I was never had the opportunity to give back to him. And I found in the back of my closet that I probably should get rid of, and I haven't gotten rid of. So those are things that are no longer serving me, as well as maybe some old clothes that just don't fit me, or just like old things that I probably need to get rid of. So it is just kind of identifying what those things are, that just no longer really serve a purpose for me. But I will give you all some time to reflect on what those possessions, or if you don't want to do possessions, if you want to do what is on your calendar, or what you've been pouring your energy into that's no longer serving you a purpose or bringing you joy. All right. Thank you all for sharing in the chat what possessions that are no longer serving a purpose or bringing you joy. I think there's a lot of physical things that we need to get rid of, and myself included. So, it's a great reminder. All right, so let's all move on to page 30 of your journals. So this is where we'll reflect on our rosebud thorn. And I always like to share my rosebud thorn with all of you. So just as a reminder, the rose is something that's going well, a highlight or something that you're grateful for. A bud is a new and emerging opportunity, something that you're looking forward to. And then a thorn is something that's a challenge. So something that you've been struggling with. So my rose is my family. Lately, I feel like I've been able to spend a lot of time with my parents, and I don't often get to see them at a regular cadence. So it's been really nice. My mom has been staying with my sister because she just had the baby. So it was really nice for the last few months to be able to spend a lot of time with my mom. And my dad also kept coming up, so it was nice to see them both. And then my bud is I'm moving to a new apartment and I'm really excited to decorate it. I love design. I love just making my home feel homey, and I love a new design challenge, so I'm excited. And then my thorn, I was trying to come up with a thorn, but honestly, I feel like there's not much that I am struggling with, which is rare, but great. I feel like there's a lot of exciting things happening. Um, and there's no complaints from my end. So I'm excited for this upcoming summer. I feel like it's going to be a fun summer. I'm turning 30, which I'm really excited about, and entering a new decade. So just a lot of fun weddings and friends trips that are coming down the next few months. So it's been exciting. All right, so I will give you all some time to reflect on your rose, your bud, and your thorn. And feel free to share with us in the chat, and we'll regroup for the weekly planner next. All right. Thank you all for sharing your rose, your bud, and your thorn. I always love to read through these and just kind of get a sense of what's going on in your life. I think it's a great way to check in on ourselves. Maybe think about, okay, if we are having a thorn, what should we do to make sure that we are nurturing ourselves for the coming week, and making sure that we are addressing those thorns as well. So with that, we will now move on to the weekly setup section. So just go ahead and turn the page to 32 of your journals, and we will first start off with this week I want to feel. So it can be a word, it can be a phrase. Think about what that word or that phrase is for you and write it down and write it in the chat. I want to read through. I want to see what your intention, what you're calling into, what you're calling for this week. So enough, open-hearted, worthy, enthusiastic, calm and confident, motivated, 1% happier, less stressed than last week, grounded, rested, and energized, make it through, feeling excited about everything, motivated, accomplished, another motivated, accomplished, another accomplished. Amazing. These are all really, really powerful ways to feel. Present, optimistic, anti-rush, energetic, pain-free. These are all wonderful intentions for the week. So thank you all for sharing. And then if you feel like you haven't found a word, here are some other like great words to use as a reference. You can choose one of these, or you let it inspire you. Now we'll move on to the weekly major 3 goals. So this can be kind of, it could be 3 goals that map to that feeling that you just wrote down, or it can be completely separate. And you can think about any 3 things that you really need to get done this week. So here are some examples of folks that have done it where it tailors to the feeling. So it can be like someone wanted to celebrate, so they want to celebrate their health, their family, and like their time off. And then you can also do maybe morning routines. Maybe you feel like you're struggling with some routines. You can do 3 goals for the early, the midday, and the evening, which I love that. So you can really figure out what those goals are for you. Think about 3 things that are gonna that you want to accomplish this week, or maybe you had something from last week that you didn't finish and you want to carry that over. You can definitely do that. Or maybe you have a personal challenge that you want to focus on this week, and what are those 3 goals that map to that challenge? So I'll give you all some time to set up your goals, and then we'll move on to the to-do section next. right. Thank you for sharing some of your goals for this week, and telling me like what kind of format you're using. I feel like it's fun to switch it up once in a while. So it's always fun to see kind of inspiration from you all. So we'll now move on to the weekly to-do section. So that's the box to the left. And I will walk you through a couple different ways of setting this up. So you can definitely use the Eisenhower matrix, which is a way to identify what's urgent and what is important so that you can figure out what you need to actually do, what decisions you need to make, what you can delegate, and what you can delete that's not serving you. So think about kind of categorizing that way. Here you can see an example to the left and to the right. You can also kind of use this section as a way to focus on your health, so physical, mental, and emotional health, if you'd like to do it that way. It could also just be kind of a catch-all for all of your to-dos, and you can bullet them out, which is typically what I like to do. So here are a lot of different ways you can set this up. You can also set it up as like a need, want, hope to-do list. So maybe you feel like you need to figure out, okay, what do you need to do? What do you want to get done? And what do you hope for? And then you can also, on the flip side, figure out, okay, what are things I don't want to do? Maybe you feel like you're in a rut or you just kind of feel like you're a little bit down lately. What are some things that you can not do? So maybe it's, whatever it may be. Maybe it's, distracting yourself with content on social media. Maybe that's not serving you, and maybe that you need a break from that. Things like that you can definitely outline. You can also turn this into a bingo board if you'd like to. So maybe you want to make it more fun and more like a game, and you can use stickers or markers to cross it off. So you can definitely set it up that way, or you can set it up kind of like a categorized way. So work to-dos, home to-dos, things you want to do for yourself, all of those things. So I will give you all some time to set up your to-do list, and then we'll regroup for the habit and activity section next. All right, we'll now move on to the habit tracker. So we'll kind of walk through that together. So this is the habit and activity tracker at the bottom. I wanted to bring this forward. I really like this kind of new habit ideas for May. So thinking about, if we want to focus on organization and productivity, which I know a lot of you folks here love to do, and that's why you come and set up your weeks on a Sunday evening before your Mondays start, which is kind of a great way to start. You can think about maybe focusing on one thing at a time, as we started the social with kind of thinking about what we can simplify, since that's kind of in parallel to our theme. Think about kind of what things you want to focus on, and maybe instead of multitasking, which can be distracting, thinking about how we can focus, thinking about our movement, thinking about how much screen time we're getting. Are we going to build those habits to make sure we get adequate sleep? Thinking about gratitude, our hobbies, and spending that quality time with our loved ones. So I love this this graphic. Ooh, sorry, I came from the park and now I have allergies. Um, but this is a great way to kind of kickstart those habits and get those ideas flowing for this month. Sorry, for this week. And here we have some examples of habit trackers as well. Feel free to get creative with it. I like this example in the middle where it's, the person is writing in their metrics in the bubbles, rather than just color coding it or filling it out. So that's something you can definitely do. I also like this example at the top, which is really focused on a night routine. So thinking about if you feel like you're not having a consistent night routine and you'd like to start one this week, you can maybe write out each of those steps of your night routine, and then that would be kind of what you would put in your habit section, and you would turn to that each day. So those are some great ideas. You can also feel free to write the goal or omit the goal. You can see people can do it either way. So definitely feel free to populate this however you'd like to. And remember, like, as you go through your week, it's okay if you don't fill out every bubble and you feel like, oh no, I didn't do that well. It's okay. Just remember that no day is the same, right? We're all dealing with different things. And it's okay if it's not, if you don't fill out every bubble. We just want to make sure that you are working towards your goals, and it's okay. The first step is just writing it down, right? So make sure to give yourselves grace as you go throughout your week. So I will give you all some time to set up your habit and activity trackers, and then we'll move on to page 33 next. All right. Thank you all for sharing some of those habits that you're tracking. We will now move on to the meal plan section. So keep in mind, this is a section that gets heavily repurposed. So it can definitely be used for its intention, which is, setting up your like meals that you want to eat this week if you are a prepper, or maybe you want to use this as a food log, which you can definitely do. But here are a ton of different ways you can leverage this section. It's really a blank box that's really nicely organized for Monday through Sunday. So you can use this section for affirmations, for any trackers, for a gratitude log or reflection area. You can use this for like a wardrobe planner if you're going on a vacation soon. Maybe you want to use this for like an appointment tracker. You can use this for a place where, say you want to declutter the home, but you want to, focus on zones for each of the days so that you don't have to dedicate like a bunch of time on one day to do it all. And you can kind of separate it out. That's a great way to do it, like almost like a chore, like zones per day is how I like kind of think about it. So there's a lot of different ways you can set this up. I'll give you all some time to set up your meal tracker section, or sorry, meal planner section, and tell us in the chat how you plan to set this up. I always love to hear kind of how you guys repurpose. So let us know in the chat how you plan to set up the section. All right. We'll now move on to the next section, which is the mind body health plan. So sorry, I just need to find my mouse here. Okay, the mind body health plan. So for this section, think about what you are going to look forward to each day. I always like to think of this section as my treat myself section. So what is that like treat that you're looking forward to when you're having a busy day? Write it down. I feel like that's kind of fun to look forward to, or maybe like for example, what I love to do is kind of write out, okay, what is that break time going to be? What am I going to do during that break? Am I going to call a friend? Am I going to do a workout class? Am I going to sit in the sauna? Am I going to go to the hot tub? Am I going to journal with instrumental music? Am I going to go to bed early? Am I going to take an everything shower? Like, what are those little things that kind of get us through our week? And this is kind of where you put like your little self-care plan. So that's kind of how I like to take it. I love these different formats that people use. So you can use kind of this alliteration, like almost like a themed per day. So Motivation Monday, Talk It Out Tuesday, and so on. You can also use this as like, what do you want? How do you want to feel versus what do you need to like kind of do that'll make you feel better? So thinking about that and that duality a little bit. And then also reflecting on these seven types of rest, which are social, spiritual, mental, creative, emotional, sensory, and physical. So that's a great way to do it. Or you could also, I like this idea of repurposing the section for almost like a reflection area where you can kind of write out some journal prompts that you want to think about and answer. So you have a different journal prompt each day. And I love all the different ideas that people have for this section. So I will give you all some time to set up your mind body health plan, and then we'll regroup for the shopping list next. All right, we'll now regroup for the one of the last sections, which is the sorry, the shopping list. Okay, so for this section again, heavily repurposed. You can definitely use this as a shopping list section if you'd like to. I know we're all about simplicity, so hopefully you don't have too much shopping that you need to get done. But here are some other ways to repurpose this section. So you can put your intentions for this section. You can do a themed bingo board. You can put a quote that really resonates with you this week. You can also repurpose this as a place where you can. I love this idea of mini breaks at work. I think oftentimes I tend to forget to take breaks during work. So, what are those breaks look like? So you can write that out. Maybe you want to kind of assess, how calm you feel, or maybe you have an anxiety tracker or something that maybe you want to kind of reference in terms of, and you want to measure throughout the week. I love that concept. So, there are a lot of different ways you can take this. This is truly a blank box. Oftentimes I get like a sticker and put it in this section. So really feel free to take it in whatever direction feels like it's calling you. So I'll give you all some time to set up your shopping list, and then we'll regroup for the I am loving section next. Mm. All right. Thank you all for sharing kind of how you are setting up this section. I wrote in the chat, like, I want to set this up kind of as a like ideas for, when I have some free time or feeling like I don't really know what to do. So I can kind of think about what I can do in my own city, and just take advantage of being in San Francisco. Even if I don't like have plans with friends or anything like that, maybe I can still do some fun things around the city. So I will now move us to our last little section, which is the I am loving section. This is kind of a great way to just maybe roll our shoulders back a little, take a deep breath, and get really comfortable, and maybe close your eyes for a little bit and think about kind of what you're truly loving in your life. Is there something in your life that you are really loving? We kind of started off with the rosebud thorn, but really thinking about kind of what we really appreciate, what's going well, um, what you're currently loving. I would say I'm loving spending time with my niece, who is a newborn, and she is so precious. And I have been having so much fun just playing with her or napping with her. It's just, I've never had that experience being an auntie, so it feels really good. And I just miss her when I'm away, but I love spending time with her. She's just a cute, really sweet girl. So I'm excited to just see her all the time as much as I can. But I would love for you to type in the chat what you're loving. Andrea said, I'm loving being understood and supported. Nathania said, I'm loving being appreciated. My grandchildren, instrumental playlist in sunny weather, sitting outside where I've been most of the day today. Amazing. I know I also went out today. It was so sunny in San Francisco. So I went to Golden Gate Park. It was beautiful. Spring flowers, golden hour of the sun, success at work. Yes, that's awesome, Kimberly. Loving stickers and using them lately. Yes, Gina, I love using stickers in my journals as well. Granddaughter, puppy, sitting on my porch and listening to birds. Oh my gosh, I love this, everybody. I feel like it's so spring appropriate to do a lot of these outdoorsy things. So it's really nice to transition into those warmer months. So thank you all so, so much. This is already, I cannot believe we have reached our time. So our hour has ended, but make sure to share your pages with us. Once again, I mentioned that there's an event happening next, not this week, but the next week. And it will be led by Meha, the founder. So make sure to check that out if you're interested in the coaching product. But thank you all so much for spending this hour with me. I know it flies by. I mentioned it in the beginning, it does, but you spent this hour being productive and ready for your week. So you should feel really accomplished. So thank you so much for spending this hour. And I hope to see you at my next social. But have a wonderful rest of your week, and I'll see you next time.